Hi guys, are you interested to learn Adobe Illustrator in just 10 minutes? It looks complicated at first, but you will find it very easy to use when you reach the end of this video. So let's get started. First, let's have a look at what Adobe Illustrator is. Illustrator is a vector drawing software and is primarily used for graphic designing. Now a question arises, what is a vector? Well, a vector in graphic design is a type of image made up of lines and shapes that stays sharp and clear no matter how much you resize it. Unlike a photo, which is made out of pixels and has limited resolution, you can however use any image inside of Adobe Illustrator as required. When you open Adobe Illustrator, you'll be greeted with the home screen. There are a few presets to choose from and a new file button. When you left-click the new file button, a menu will pop up with some options you can customize for your new file, like name, size, measurement unit, how many artboards you want, and some advanced options like color mode. A quick tip for you, use RGB for everything that's digital and CMYK for anything that will be printed. After setting up everything the way you want, click the Create button and you'll reach the main part of the program, which is the workspace. Everything you see on the screen right now can be customized and moved around every tool, menu, and panel. There are also different workspace presets for different workflows which you can access on the top right corner of Illustrator. For this video, we will use the Essential Classic preset as it's the most commonly used and the most easy to use as well. Each panel can be dragged and positioned as required, and if you'd like everything to go back to as it was before, just go ahead and use the Reset Workspace option and everything will go back to as it was before. The workspace in Illustrator consists of different parts and having a clear understanding of them is very important. On the very top, we have the header. Here you will find all the menus containing different options and functionalities. Down below the header, we have the control bar. It is one of the most helpful elements of the workspace because it changes and shows different options related to a subject or the tool that you have selected. Below we have the Documents tab. Each tab shown here is a different file you have opened. On the left side we have the toolbar which contains all the tools in Illustrator. If you hover the mouse over a tool, Illustrator will show the tool name along with its shortcut and a small GIF video explaining what the functionality of the tool is. If a tool has small arrow on the bottom right corner, you can click it and hold to open up similar tools. For example, clicking and holding on the rectangle tool opens a menu containing different shape tools like rounded rectangle tool, ellipse tool, and so on. On the right side, we have the panels. Illustrator has several different panels and they're all used to perform different actions. For example, aligning objects, customizing gradients, and combining shapes. They can all be accessed through the window menu in the menu section. Panels can be expanded through left click and can be collapsed using the arrow symbol on the top right corner. On the bottom of the workspace, we have the status bar. It shows some info about zoom levels, selected artboard, and selected tool. And finally, in the center of it all, we have the artboard. I like to think it as a canvas in which you can place your creativity in. This is where you will add elements and your creativity. The white area is the size you selected when creating the document, and more than one artboard can be created for a multi-page design, for example, a brochure. I would like to assure you that this tool is going to be your best friend related to designing once you've completely watched the video and understand what the things on the screen are actually for. Now moving towards the fun part, I'll show you some of the most important tools and panels to really get you started using this software. Before diving into creating stuff, let's talk about Selection tool, as this is the most important tool because you use it to select and manipulate your designs. When we press the V key on the keyboard or select the Selection tool from the toolbar, we will notice that it acts like a normal cursor which we use on PCs or laptops. One of the basic elements of graphic design are geometrical shapes. Let's start by creating those. Let's press the letter M to select the rectangle tool. You can also go into the toolbar and select it. To create shapes in the artboard, you have two options. You can either left click and drag and make the shape the size and proportion you want, or just click a single time, which will bring up a menu where you can input the exact size you want. Now let's make a rectangle. While left clicking and dragging, you can hold the shift key to lock the proportion to a perfect square. This also works with the other shapes as well. Now let's dive deeper into the selection tool. There are actually two selection tools, the selection tool shortcut V and the direct selection tool shortcut A. The selection tool is represented by a black cursor while the direct selection tool is represented by a white cursor. The selection tool black cursor is used to select, move, rotate and scale entire objects in the artboard. For moving objects, just click and drag them. For rotating, place the cursor close to the corners until it turns into this curved two-sided arrow. For scaling, use these white squares around the bounding box of the object. If you hold shift while scaling, you will also keep the proportions intact. Here's a quick pro tip for you. Hold the Alt key while dragging an object to duplicate it. Now to understand the direct selection tool, which when selected shows a white cursor, we have to first look on how shapes work in Illustrator. Any shape in the artboard is made up of points that we call anchors. Two connected anchors make a path, and when the path is curved, like in a circle, the anchor points will also have handles to control the curvature. And these three elements, anchors, paths, and handles, can only be manipulated individually using the direct selection tool. Now press the letter A to select the direct selection tool and hover the mouse on the top part of the circle until the anchor name pops up. Then click and drag to move only that anchor point. Now you might have noticed the handles area is showing as we have direct selection tool selected. You can also click and drag them to change the curvature of the path. You can also click and drag on the path to move it as you like. But what if you want to draw something more complex than just a geometrical shape? Here's when the pen tool comes in. With the pen tool, for which the shortcut is the P key, each time you click the artboard, you create an anchor point which will be connected to the previous one, just like this. If you click and drag, you'll create a curved path. Clicking back on the first anchor will close the path and finish the shape. This tool can be a little challenging at first. It requires a little bit of practice to get used to it, but it's a super important part of Illustrator and you'll definitely use it a lot once you get hang of it. Now before we move on to the panels, it's important that you learn how to move around the artboard, which is very easy to do. You can move around in lots of different ways, but my preferred method are either to hold the space bar and left click and drag, or to click and drag using the mouse wheel. For zooming, you can hold the Alt key or Option key if you're on a Mac, then scroll with the mouse wheel. Now let's look into a few panels. The one you'll definitely use the most is the color panel. The color panel is used to change the color of the shapes you created. Both the fill and the outline color can be changed from here. You can switch by clicking on these two icons right here. Then all you have to do is select the object and change the color as you like. The next panel is the one that often comes in handy, which is the Align panel. It's not open by default, so let's open it from the window menu section and then left clicking on Align. The Align panel automatically opens the Pathfinder and the Transform panels as well. They're kind of a group. Let's drag this panel to the right side and dock it on the panel bar. The Align panel is pretty straightforward. Select the object you want to align and select the desired alignment like center, left or right. By default, when you select only one object, it will align in accordance to the artboard, but if you have two or more objects selected, the panel will automatically switch to align the selected items. Next in line is the Pathfinder. This panel is used to create new shapes by combining two or more shapes. You can unite two shapes into one, intersect the parts that are overlapping, or just divide everything into different shapes. It's easy and useful. And finally, the Properties panel. This is a very handy panel and can make your workflow a breeze. Just like the control bar, the properties panel changes depending on what you have selected, so it is recommended to have it expanded at all times. If you want to see this panel in full swing, check out my other video in which I show you how to make cool 3D stuff in Illustrator. It is on the card in the top right corner of the screen. Well, congratulations! You just learned the basics of Illustrator, but your journey has just started. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any queries, feel free to use the comment section. I'll make sure to answer you. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Take care.